My name's Sarah, and I'm 30 years old. Never in a million years did I think my sister's wedding would turn into this whole family mess, a real nightmare if you ask me. And it all kicked off when they told me I couldn't come to the wedding. Looking back, I probably should have seen it coming. My family? We're kinda famous for the drama. Little arguments, misunderstandings, hurt feelings all around. But this felt different, like it was aimed right at me. So, let me back up a bit. My sister, Emily, and we've never been super tight. Like any siblings, we've had our good times and bad. But things really started going south when she got engaged. See, Emily's always been the golden child in the family. Beautiful, popular, charming as heck. Me? Not so much. I'm not saying I'm ugly or anything, but I'm more the quiet, introverted type. Growing up in a family where Emily hogged all the spotlight, well, it made me feel invisible most of the time. When Emily hooked up with Nathan, who's now her hubby, I was honestly happy for her. I'm not one of those jealous sisters who secretly wants bad stuff to happen to their sibling. But, I gotta admit, I felt like I was slowly getting pushed out of the picture. It wasn't a big, obvious thing at first, but thinking about it now, the clues were there. My ideas about her wedding? Tossed aside. My suggestions for the bridesmaids' dresses? Ignored. Even when I tried to help out with the planning, I got this lukewarm kind of vibe. I was always too busy to get involved, apparently. Whatever, I figured. If they didn't want my help, I wasn't gonna force myself in there. Then came the day I got the phone call. It was my mom, and she sounded real serious, like something was up. "Sarah," she started, her voice kinda tight. "We need to talk about the wedding." "Okay," I said, not knowing where this was headed. "What about it?" "Well," she says, "Emily's real worried about all the potential drama with you being there, and she's decided to uninvite you to the wedding." I just froze. Couldn't even say anything for a second. "What do you mean, uninvite me?" I finally asked. "She's just worried that with everything that's going on, you being there will just cause more problems. You know how emotional she's been with all the wedding stuff. She thinks it'll be better this way," Mom said, sounding apologetic but firm. I couldn't freaking believe it. It's not like I'd been causing a bunch of trouble. Sure, we've had our disagreements, but I wasn't some drama queen throwing tantrums at every family get-together. This felt like a real slap in the face. I was busting my behind at a job I hated, just trying to keep my life from falling apart. And now my family, my own sister no less, was telling me I wasn't welcome at the biggest day of her life. I tried to keep my voice steady, but I could feel it shaking. "So, that's it, then? I'm just not invited anymore?" Mom hesitated. "I know it's tough, honey, but she really thinks it's for the best." I didn't know what to say. I wasn't even sure what I felt. Was I ticked off? Hurt? Betrayed? Probably all of the above, and more. I couldn't even bring myself to call Emily about it. Every time I tried to call Emily, I just felt like I was gonna start bawling. I knew whatever I said wouldn't matter anyway. The damage was done, plain and simple. After a few days of feeling sorry for myself, I came to a decision. I wasn't gonna sit around moping. If Emily didn't want me at her wedding, then fine, I wasn't gonna be there. I'd do something for myself instead. So, I booked a last-minute trip to this little beach town I'd always wanted to check out. Nothing fancy, just a chill solo getaway to clear my head. I spent the next few weeks focusing on me, reading books, hiking around, and just kicking back by the water. I tried my best not to think about the wedding or what was going on back home. It wasn't easy, but it helped a bit. The day of the wedding rolled around, and while my whole family was busy with the big event, I was strolling along the beach, just soaking up the peace and quiet. It felt good to get away from all the stress, you know? The constant pressure of being in my sister's shadow. But, of course, drama doesn't take a vacation just because you do. A few days into my trip, I get a call from my dad. "Sarah, we need your help," he says, his voice all strained. "Something's gone wrong with the wedding." Right away, I felt this knot form in my stomach. "What happened?" I asked. "Well, it's Emily, she's having a total meltdown. The wedding's falling apart at the seams, and we need you to come home and help fix things." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After everything that went down, after they straight up told me I wasn't welcome, now they wanted my help. They wanted me to swoop in and save the day now that things were a total mess. "I'm sorry, but no," I told him, my voice sounding a lot stronger than I actually felt. "I'm on vacation right now, Dad. You guys told me I wasn't wanted there, and now you want me to help?" "I don't think so." There was a pause on the other end of the line before my dad finally spoke again. "Sarah, this is serious. You're the only one who can help. Please, just come home. He says, we can't afford to fix this without you." The nerve, the freaking audacity. I was mad, but I also felt this weird sense of satisfaction bubbling up inside me. "Dad," I said, my voice now cold as ice, "you know what? You can figure it out. I'm done being the family's backup plan when things go south. Emily's the one who wanted to push me out of the picture, so let her deal with the mess she's made." I hung up the phone, feeling a mix of relief and anger. I wasn't about to drop everything to run back home and fix their problems. But as the hours passed and I kept thinking about what my family was asking of me, the more I started to feel like maybe, just maybe, they'd taken my absence for granted. I didn't have to help them. I didn't have to come to the rescue. But I was starting to wonder just how far Emily and my family were willing to go to make things right. Maybe I wasn't done with this whole thing after all. That night, I got a text from my mom. "Please, Sarah, I know things got messed up, but Emily is begging for your help. She's lost it, and the wedding is a disaster. Please, we need you." I stared at the message for a long time, just biting my lip. Things were getting crazy fast, and I couldn't help but wonder if I could get some kind of payback out of all this. They had disrespected me, pushed me aside like I was nothing, and now they needed me. The big question was, how far was I willing to go to make them pay? I didn't text my mom back right away. For once, I needed to actually think about what I wanted. I'd spent so many years being the family's doormat, always cleaning up their messes, always bending over backwards to make everyone else happy. But this time? No way. I was done with that. The next morning, I woke up to even more texts. And calls, too, but I ignored all of them. My phone buzzed with a new message from my dad. "Sarah, I really need you to come home. It's getting worse. Emily's completely losing it, and the wedding's been called off. We need you here." That last part hit me like a ton of bricks. The wedding was called off? I was totally confused, to say the least. What exactly did that mean? Did she ditch Nathan? Was she having second thoughts about the whole thing? If it was just cold feet, wouldn't they have told me that already? I decided to call my dad back. I needed to hear what was going on from him, straight from the horse's mouth. "Dad," I said when he picked up, "you said the wedding was called off. What happened?" He sighed real deep, and I could hear the stress in his voice. "It's a mess, Sarah. Emily just panicked. She didn't feel ready, I guess. She had a full-on meltdown, right there, in front of everyone. Nathan was crushed, the guests were confused, and the whole thing just fell apart." I was stunned into silence. This wasn't what I was expecting to hear at all. But, everything was already paid for, right? All the vendors, the venue, everything? "Yeah," he said, "it's all paid for. And now, well, that's where you come in." I felt a sinking feeling in my stomach. What do you mean, where I come in? Look, Sarah, we can't afford to cover the full cost of this mess, he said, his voice getting all pleading on me. We're in a real tight spot. Emily's freaking out about the money. You know how much everything costs, and now she's asking for you to help pay for it. You're the only one who can do it. I almost dropped my phone. I felt like I was gonna choke. Wait a minute, I said, you want me to pay for the wedding? The wedding that I wasn't even part of? The wedding that I wasn't even invited to? There was a pause before my dad said, I know. It's a lot to ask, but Emily is losing it, Sarah. She's blaming herself for everything, and now she's desperate. You're the only one who can help, and I'm begging you. If you don't, things are going to get really ugly. We'll be buried in debt for years. I was shaking. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This had to be some kind of twisted joke, right? After they'd shut me out of everything, after they'd made it crystal clear that I wasn't wanted, now they were asking for my financial help. And it wasn't just any kind of help, either. They weren't asking me to come in and offer emotional support, or help with a small part of the aftermath. Nah, they wanted me to pay half of the wedding costs. Half. For a wedding that had already been planned, paid for, and then completely cancelled because Emily had a panic attack. I wanted to yell, but I knew that wouldn't fix a damn thing. Instead, I took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. Dad, you gotta be kidding me, I said. I'm not paying for anything. Not a dime. Sarah, please, he said, his voice sounding desperate. This is bigger than just Emily's meltdown. This is about the whole family. If you don't help, we'll be in serious trouble. Please, you're the only one who can make this right. I had to put the phone down for a sec. I couldn't even breathe properly. The nerve of it all. Dad, I finally said, my voice still shaking, you're asking me to fix a mess I didn't create. You and Emily made the choice to exclude me, to shut me out, and now I'm supposed to clean up the wreckage? That's just not how this works. He was quiet for a long beat, and I could practically hear him trying to figure out a way to talk me into it. But there was no way to make this sound good. No way to make it anything other than what it was, a blatant, shameless attempt to pin their problems on me. The silence went on, and then I heard my dad's voice again, softer this time. I don't want this to come between us, Sarah. But if you don't help, I'm afraid things might never be the same between you and the family. That was it. That was the line that pushed me over the edge. My dad was trying to play the family card, right then and there. He was trying to make me feel guilty into doing something I didn't want to do, and I could feel all the resentment I had towards them all just boiling over. You know what, Dad? I said, my voice shaking still. If you want me to pay half, forget it. I've spent my whole life being the afterthought, the one who always has to clean up everyone else's messes. But not this time. I'm done. There was a long pause. Sarah, don't do this. You're not thinking straight. Emily's having a breakdown. She needs you. Then she can figure it out, I snapped, before hanging up. I'm not your safety net anymore. I felt a surge of anger mixed with relief. They'd pushed me too far. I wasn't their fallback plan. I wasn't just some money tree they could shake when they were in trouble. For once, I wasn't gonna be the one to fix everything. But as the days went by, the messages didn't stop. My mom, my dad, even distant relatives, all begged me to help. They all reminded me how much they'd done for me, how families should help each other out. The guilt started to creep in, but I just pushed it aside. I had to stay strong. I wasn't going to cave. Then, just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, I got a message from Emily herself. Sarah, please, you're the only one who can help us. This is a disaster, and we're drowning in debt. If you don't step in, I don't know what will happen. You have to help. My fingers were hovering over the keyboard, and I was flooded with so many feelings. Anger, frustration, resentment. But more than anything, I felt betrayed. This wasn't just about a wedding that went sideways. This was a whole system of manipulation, guilt trips, and toxic behavior. And they expected me to fix it. I stared at that text for what felt like ages, my mind just racing. Emily's words were just the same old manipulation I'd come to expect from them all. You're the only one who can help. You have to fix this. The guilt was heavy, but not heavy enough to make me give in. I wasn't their plan B anymore. For too long, I'd been the one they ran to when things went wrong. The one they knew would clean up the mess, pick up the pieces, and make everything okay again. But I was done doing that. Not for Emily. Not for anyone. It was time to finally take control of my own life. Time to stop letting them dictate my happiness. I took a deep breath, my hands shaking as I typed out a response. Emily, I wrote, I've been thinking about everything you've said. And the truth is, I can't do it anymore. I'm not going to fix your mess. I'm not going to bail you out. You've made it clear where I stand in this family, and I'm done being the one who has to clean up after everyone else. I'm sorry, but I'm cutting ties. I don't need any of you in my life anymore. I hit send before I could chicken out. My heart was pounding, my body all tense, as I sat there, staring at the screen. Part of me was terrified, scared of what they'd say, how they'd react. But the other part of me? The stronger part, the one that had been hidden under years of guilt and manipulation? It felt free. I was finally standing up for myself. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a call from my mom. I just let it ring. Then another one. From my dad. Then Emily again. They were relentless, blowing up my phone with messages and calls. But I didn't answer. I couldn't. Instead, I sat there, my mind spinning, wondering if I'd made the right choice. Maybe I was being too harsh. Maybe they really needed me. But then I remembered all those years of built-up resentment, how they treated me like I was invisible, like I was nothing but a convenient way to solve their problems. I thought about the wedding, how they'd completely shut me out, all the while expecting me to show up when things went south. They hadn't even given me a chance to be part of their family. So why should I give everything up to be part of their chaos now? I shook my head and turned my phone off. The next couple of days were the longest I've ever lived. The guilt was eating me up, but so was a sense of pride. I had made the decision. I had stood my ground. I wasn't going to be their scapegoat anymore. But then, the storm hit. I was sitting in my living room, trying to get into a book, when I heard my doorbell ring. I froze. I wasn't expecting anyone, and I certainly wasn't expecting the last people I wanted to see. I opened the door and there were my mom and dad, and they both looked like they'd both been crying their eyes out. My mom's eyes were all red, her makeup was a mess, and my dad looked like he'd aged 10 years in the past week. "Sarah," my mom said, her voice all broken, "please, just hear us out." I crossed my arms, trying to stay calm, but I could feel my heart beating faster. "What do you want?" "We're sorry," my dad said, his voice low. "We didn't mean to push you away. We don't know what to do. We're in deep, and Emily, she's really not handling it well. She's falling apart, and we're scared." I let out a breath, trying not to let the guilt get to me. "You think I don't know how that feels? You think I haven't been scared for years, living in a family where I'm treated like I'm not important, where I'm only good enough to clean up the mess, but never to be part of the solution?" "We were wrong, Sarah," my mom said, her voice trembling. "We were wrong to shut you out. We should have been there for you. We just didn't realize how bad things had gotten." "Yeah, well, now you know," I said, my voice cold. "Now you know exactly how bad it is." I saw them glance at each other. My mom bit her lip, her face just falling apart. "Please, Sarah," she begged, "I know we've hurt you, but you can't turn your back on family. You just can't." I shook my head. "You just don't get it, do you? You've been turning your back on me for years. It's always been me who has to fix everything. And now, when I finally decide to stand up for myself, you want me to come running back to clean up your mess? But I'm done. I don't need you. Not like this." They both just stood there, speechless, completely taken aback by my anger and how final I sounded. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my emotions in check. "I'm not your safety net anymore. You made your choices, and now you'll have to live with the consequences. I've got to move on with my life. I deserve better than this." My dad opened his mouth like he was about to say something, but then he just closed it. He looked at me, really looked at me, like he was seeing me for the first time. And then, he turned and walked away, my mom trailing behind him, still silent. I didn't feel relief right away. I just felt tired and disappointed, like I was carrying this weight I couldn't shake off. But as the day went on, I started to feel something else. Something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. I was free. And as hard as it was, I knew I had made the right decision. The days that followed were strangely quiet. At first, it felt like a weight had been lifted, and I was finally breathing easier. I hadn't realized just how suffocated I had felt by my family's constant demands and expectations until I'd cut them loose. But the calm didn't last long. About a week after I'd cut ties with them, Emily sent me another message. This time, there was no pleading, no begging, just a cold, hard accusation. "You know, I thought you'd be different. But you've proven us right. You've always been selfish, Sarah. Don't bother coming to the family reunion this summer. You won't be Ms. Dash." Said. I stared at that message for a long time, those words stinging more than I thought they would. Emily had always been the one to throw rocks and then act like she didn't do anything wrong. But it wasn't just her words that got to me. It was the realization that that's how they all saw me. A selfish person for finally putting myself first. I didn't reply to her message. Instead, I deleted it and took a deep breath, reminding myself why I had made the choice I did. They wanted me to keep sacrificing my happiness for their drama, their mistakes, their chaos. I just wasn't gonna do it anymore. A few days later, I got a call from my mom. I didn't pick up. The following day, my dad called. Again, I ignored it. The guilt was still there, just gnawing at me. But I knew that it wasn't the guilt of walking away from them. It was the guilt of letting go of a family that had never really been there for me in the first place. I wasn't ditching them. I was finally protecting myself. Then, on the third day after I'd ignored their calls, my mom showed up at my door, unannounced. I could see her through the window, just standing there in the yard with this really pained look on her face. I didn't wait around this time. I opened the door, my heart racing. "Sarah," she said, her voice soft, almost pleading. "Please. I know you're mad, but we need you. Emily's a mess, and this wedding thing is spiraling out of control. We really need your help." Her words just hit me like a slap. They weren't even trying to apologize. They weren't acknowledging anything they'd done wrong. They just wanted me to come back and fix things. I shook my head, trying to steady myself. "No, Mom. I'm done. I'm not going to keep cleaning up the messes you create. You've had plenty of chances. I'm not the solution anymore." Her eyes started to fill with tears, and she took a step forward, reaching out like she was gonna pull me back into their drama. "Please, Sarah. We're your family. Don't leave us like this." My chest got all tight, and I almost let the emotions take over. But then I remembered everything, the years of manipulation, the guilt trips, the way they'd always expected me to pick up the pieces of their lives without ever caring about how it affected me. "No," I said firmly. "I can't keep doing this. I've given everything I had to this family, but you never gave me anything in return. I don't need you to make me feel guilty for choosing my own life. I've given up on you." I saw her face just crumble, the mask of a loving mother falling away as she realized I wasn't coming back. For a second, I thought she might lose it and lash out. But instead, she just looked at me, all hurt, disappointed, and defeated. "You'll regret this," she whispered, her voice barely loud enough to hear. I didn't answer her. I just closed the door, slowly, deliberately. It wasn't easy, not at all. I knew that the backlash was coming, that they would twist everything and make me the bad guy. But as I sat in my living room that night, I realized something really important. I wasn't their scapegoat anymore. I wasn't going to be the one to fix their problems. I wasn't going to keep sacrificing my peace for their chaos. And that, right there, felt like the biggest win of all. Over the next few weeks, the calls just stopped. The messages stopped. I didn't hear one single thing from my family. At first, I was all anxious, constantly checking my phone, wondering when they'd show up at my door again. But it never happened. And as the silence just went on and on, I started to feel something I hadn't felt in years, real, actual relief. I spent my time focusing on me, taking some trips, getting into some new hobbies, and reconnecting with friends who weren't part of that toxic mess I'd left behind. For the first time in what felt like forever, I felt like I was living my life for me, and not for anyone else. Then, one evening, I got a text from Emily. It wasn't some angry message or a demand for money or for help. It was just a simple, almost like she was sorry, "I miss you. I don't know where we went wrong, but I wish things were different." I just stared at that message for a long time, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. I could feel that old tug of family loyalty trying to pull me back in. But I resisted it. I didn't owe them anything. Not anymore. I typed a response, real slow and careful, something I hadn't been able to say to them before. "I'm sorry, Emily, but I can't keep doing this. I need to take care of myself now. I hope you can understand that." I hit send and set my phone down, finally feeling like I wasn't tied to the past anymore. The family I had known for so long had broken apart. And while that really sucked, it was also freeing in a way. I had finally chosen myself. And in that moment, I realized that sometimes, cutting ties with the people who are supposed to love you the most is the only way you can save yourself. And in the end, that's exactly what I did. I saved myself.